Hello everyone, and welcome to our instructional video about advisory circulars. This is the second video of a two-part series for section 4.2, ADs and ACs. AC is advisory circular, and well, let's just get right into that. First thing you should know, we're going to do a case scenario with advisory circular, so I would advise you to actually take a look at this QR code. Maybe pull it up on a separate tab or use it on your phone while you're on the laptop, whatever the situation may be. Just make sure you have it up because we're going to be utilizing this website for this lesson. So let's talk about advisory circulars. In the previous video, we talked about acceptable data versus approved data and how they hold different weights and different credibilities with the FAA. An advisory circular is acceptable and not approved data. It has helpful information from the FAA, it's not regulatory in nature, and the subjects in it can vary. It could be anything from battery overhaul, preventive maintenance, anything in between. So let's take a look at this case scenario right here. You have a new A&P mechanic who's confused about who has which responsibilities for record keeping, and he asks you the following questions. Who's responsible for keeping and safeguarding the maintenance record logbook? Who's responsible for updating the logbook with entries for each date the maintenance is performed? And do we have to make a logbook entry every time we are returning an aircraft to service? And if so, who is the person who does it? So that's a lot to digest, but we get some good hints down here. We know that we need to look at Advisory Circular 43-9C Change 2, and that when searching the document, if we look for the word responsibilities, we should be able to find what we're looking for. So using those hints, again, make sure that you're at the DRS website here. I'm going to pull it up on my screen, and here we are at the Dynamic Regulatory System. I'm going to click over here on Advisory Circulars. This is how you get to the Advisory Circulars. And then from that point, there's lots of ways you can search it. I'm just going to click down. And let's see, I'm trying to remember the number from the slide. It looks like it's 43-9C Change 2. Let's see how my working memory is here. So 43-9. Okay, went too far. There we go. That looks right. So I'm going to check that box, and I'm going to click Apply. Looks like the record appears down at the bottom of my screen. I'm going to click that. Okay, 12-page document. That isn't too bad. Let's get into it a little bit more. Again, the hint told us that we should look up the word responsibilities. So I'm going to use Control F and bring up the search bar function. I'm going to type in responsibilities. See what comes up. Okay, that doesn't look right. Let's try the next one. Okay, let's try one more. Oh, okay. Let's go back to the questions for a sec. The questions ask, alright, who's responsible for keeping and safeguarding the logbook, who's responsible for updating, and who's responsible for making the entry when we return the aircraft? So if we take a look over here, it says that the owner-operator maintains the records, that the person doing the maintenance makes logbook entries, shall make an entry, and it says that the person approving or disapproving a return to service also needs to make an entry on the maintenance record. So there you go. That's one example of how to research a regular AC. Now, there is one caveat. Again, we said earlier that ACs are acceptable and not approved data, but there is one exception to the rule. And as a matter of fact, this document, this AC is so large and so impactful that I'm giving it its own QR code. So go ahead and scan that. and have that to the ready because we're going to be doing some real searching in a massive document here. So take a look, and it says, okay, 43.13-B. Essentially, we have tons of approved materials for making repairs on aircraft, but in the event that an approved material isn't specific enough, this is essentially the manual that fills in all the holes, or at least it tries to. We call it 4313 in industry, and believe it or not, it is actually FAA approved. So let's get into a case scenario and try searching with this. Your specialty as an A&P mechanic is to perform maintenance on an antique aircraft. One really old aircraft that you're working on needs a sheet metal repair to one of the ribs. And the structural repair manual doesn't have any procedures listed for the repair, so in the absence of the information, you need the reference 4313. You need to go and search for typical metal rib repairs, and then you need to look at the correct page and describe the solution. So I have 4313 up over here, and just to make this interesting, I already have the page up, but just to make this interesting, I'm going to do a Control F and see if I can get the same situation. So I'm going to type in rib repair, see what comes up. Okay, typical metal rib repairs. It looks here that we are in business on page 4-30, so I'm going to click through that a little bit and try to find the one on 4-30. Typical metal rib repairs. Okay, so here we are. We have the correct diagram here, and what it's looking like is that that's looking pretty good. So again, ACs are super important. I'm going to give you more case scenarios and more quiz questions as you go. Make sure to answer them. Clancy over and out.